Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello, I am your co-host, Ben Dickerson, fantasy geek and lover of everything football. And we just finished a great week 7. So let's talk about some power rankings.
Yeah, week 7, man. Week 7, what's it like? You're the fantasy guy. What's week 7 look like for fantasy? Is it, is it the same, that
there's
your logic is different. Your logic is different. So because we're almost in the trade deadline. So
right. So things are happening.
Right.
Players that people may or may not have been paying much attention to are now coming to the forefront, not only because of trades, but also because of injuries. I'll give you a fast example. Your team, the Niners, up until probably about last week, you could probably find Jimmy Garoppolo on anybody's waiver wire, just sitting there, not playing on anybody's team. But because they're winning, number one, and because they just picked up a receiver, number two, a receiver that will probably help them, he now becomes a viable quarterback, especially injuries, bye weeks, all these things coming up. Now people are trying to figure out where they can fit Jimmy G in on their rosters.
Okay. We've already done our bye week, so they know he's going to be available the rest of the season. I'm learning a little something.
There you go.
Let's talk to the people about net points, the top 5. Ben, look.
Stuff's starting to come clear.
It's getting clearer. And this is why you stick with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. It's just the truth. It's just what it is. Top 5. Number 5, Ravens at 58 points. Now, again, let's remind people, net points is the difference between points for and points against. And that's what you basically win a game by. You don't have a differential in your favor at the end of the game.
That's right.
You lost, which you'll see a little bit more because I'm the Madden guy. This is the game that I had to play. I'm playing the same season as my Niners. All right. My Niners, it is what it is. Number 5, Ravens. What do you think?
I like the Ravens. They took a L last week, though.
No.
I'm sorry, they beat the Seahawks. I wanted to talk about the Seahawks because I'm very interested in your team, the Niners. And I'm also very interested in the Seahawks, who are your sleeper team. And I kind of had that in the back of my mind. I should wait to speak about that later. Ravens, big game. Lamar Jackson looking untouchable, throwing the ball well, running the ball great, defense playing pretty good. Gotta love them. They deserve to be there. Forget the skew. Skew's over. They're earning their way now.
Well, when you beat the Seahawks, we'll give you skew forgiveness.
Right.
Because
Seattle.
In
with
Seattle.
The 12th man.
With the 12th man, exactly.
In a knockdown drag out. That was a good game.
Now, I have trepidations about running quarterbacks. Now, he is obviously
he's a running
6
quarterback.
to 8 gear runner,
6 to 8.
where everybody else seems to only have 3 to 4. I got to give him that.
I'll take that.
He's got those extra 2 or 3 gears.
Okay.
He even takes hits pretty good. Okay.
That's great.
If he goes down, okay. Baltimore kind of is a team that has similar type people. They're not as dynamic. I mean, RG3 is sitting there on the bench. Similar. At least they have some. I always gave them that. At least they were kind of congruent with the type of backups. Even the young man from Penn State, quarterback, McSorley. I like McSorley. Yeah. We both like McSorley. I think
not enough to want to see him play, but
but if he plays,
it'll be good for them. I think he won't have any.
He might have at least as much magic as our man with Jacksonville.
Oh, Minshew magic.
He should have at least Minshew magic level magic.
Well, we hope so. And the great thing is, there's been so much success by so many backups this year.
This is the year of the backup.
You gotta really
I've been talking
like,
about paying backups more money and acting like you got a real game plan in case number one goes down. You need two good quarterbacks for years. It's just this is the
yeah, but
year.
they're killing your argument because half of these dudes were nobodies. Like they weren't considered. Oh, we gotta have him as a backup, and we're gonna pay him lots of money to stay here. These guys are in the quarterback room, paying attention,
no
getting
doubt,
their reps in,
no doubt. And
playing
this is
with
their
the
chance to
squad,
position themselves
they're
to maybe
done.
get a contract.
Exactly, which
But
is what
who
being a backup
did
is
do
all
that
about.
was who?
Nick Foles.
No.
We mean now?
What team did pay good money to make sure they had a good backup and it paid off?
Okay, he lost me.
The Saints.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Cowboys, number
argue.
four. Number
can't
four,
argue.
Cowboys, 66.
Big win last week. Don't laugh. See, that's
Giants
you. That's
fan.
him laughing, not me. I did being a Giants fan has nothing to do with it.
They were
Big win last week.
They had the bias going for them last week
Big
too.
win last week. I
Went
don't
with
know.
the bias. The Ravens went with the bias last week. The
Yeah.
bias is the difference between net points between two teams that are going to play each other. Favors the team with the greater number of net points, and the bias plus simply adds turnover differential onto that. Both of those teams were favored. I do believe the Vikings were also.
The Cowboys had the bias. The Vikings had the bias. Yes, that's correct.
So everybody on the top five had the bias. Everybody held their bias last week.
Excellent.
Vikings at 69, Niners at 92.
How about that, Kirk Cousins?
How about that Kirk Cousins? How about that Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins is turning it on, and the skepticism is still there for the big game. I'm hearing it all the time.
True.
That he's going to have to be in those big games and see how he handles that. The big game to me for him is the question is when his line cannot handle that rush. When that battle gets lost, what's going to happen?
We'll have to take a look at the schedule and see who got the big pass rush lines coming in.
Vikings 69, Niners nice strong 92 over top of the other three. 9 points, 9-0, and against the Redskins. I told you that even when I played them last year, I was like, the Redskins gave me a little bit of trouble. But did you see the field?
It was a mess.
I said Redskins, and again, we don't say that. So let me back that up. It is the Washington team that needs to change their name.
Right. Kind of a long name, but it's
and they at this point they need to change that field too.
Yeah.
Because that was ridiculous.
It was crazy.
Remember last year we were talking about the weather in Kansas City, and you were telling me about all the great things about the Kansas City field, and it turned out to be pretty nice. It was like a cold, snowy thing, and when they went and played on the field was nice. So
they have artificial turf, don't they?
I don't know what they have.
Yeah, they got
some technologies and some things and all of that. What the heck is going on in Washington? That thing didn't even drain. Oh,
not good. Not good.
Holy
it kind of
mackerel.
reminds me of one of them old NFL films games I was watching, and I think it was in Washington where water was just pouring from every crevice in the stadium and nothing was draining off. It was just water just sitting on top of the field. So I don't know. Talk to Trump. That's his team.
Patriots. Well, look, the Patriots played the Jets. Sam Darnold came out.
We just praised him
and said he saw a ghost. What was it? I think I'm seeing ghosts. And everybody's saying basically that, a lot of teams play very basic zones. They don't change up. They don't disguise as well.
Some teams are better than others.
The Patriots tailor make things for you with a disguise, and he just wasn't ready. I mean, the indecisions, sometimes that indecision fault is what creates the inaccuracy. You know what I mean? If you're like, and you're not, you know what I mean? Once the thing kind of locks up, and he's just throwing at the guys. I mean, guys are catching it like, thank you.
Patriots are famous for changing their game plan week by week. they will tailor make a defense just for the team that they're playing.
That's what they
They
do.
don't lose often, and they surely do not lose to rookie quarterbacks.
It's
not going to happen.
Man, I'm telling you.
It's not going to happen.
So net points, big, strong net point favorite for them.
Huge, actually. 175 over the next team, 49ers, with 92.
Yeah.
92's not that far away from, what is that, 88, 89?
Yeah.
Okay.
That second tier is a bunch of us all in that second tier, no doubt.
You're still in the upper echelon. You're at the top of the upper echelon of everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a bad place to be.
I mean, what's that? 83-point differential between the first and second place.
Yeah.
And then it's about 92. What's that? 70, about 20, 21.
Between
23 or something
Niners
like that.
and Ravens.
Yeah, between Niners and the Vikings.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's
between
right.
second and third place.
It's tight.
So, yeah, it's tight. It's tight. Just for context, again, when we're talking about the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, when you go to our page, and if you just go to the website, www.sterlingnppr.com, you'll go to the Facebook website. That's the home of the blog right now. We're going to have it set up in a different website soon. But for right now, all the information is there. In any event, your range in net points from 1 to 32. Okay? Patriots at plus 175, Dolphins at minus 148. So
it was almost plus 148 to minus 1, plus 140 something to minus 140 something last week. I remember that. I forget the exact number, but it was a very even number, except one had a plus and one had a minus.
Okay, yeah, I remember you
now,
said that. Yeah.
The Dolphins are so bad, and the Patriots are so good that Patriots are starting to really pull away.
Spread, yeah. And you'll see some more of that as the year goes on, as you add more games, because this is a gross number, total number.
Yeah.
You know, not even an average. We're just totaling it here. So sometimes you want to keep that in mind, because the thing with net points is, you know, you might think, okay, well, if somebody's on the bye, then they won't have the points in this, but they also don't have the points going away.
That's correct.
And that one. So, you know,
as soon as
give them the numbers as they are. That's how they are. We
Yep.
don't change anything. We don't try to manage that process. The top or the bottom four teams relative to net points, 28 is the Bengals. 29 is the Falcons. 30 is the Washington team that needs to change their name at minus 86. And the Jets at minus 93. And then you see that same big jump between 31 and 32, where the Dolphins are minus 148.
That's how bad they are.
That's how, and that's kind of almost differential, except for the Patriots are so much better. I mean, the Niners are 92 and the Pats are 175. The Jets are 93 and the Dolphins are 148.
Yeah.
So the Niners are looking that much better. So we'll talk a little bit more about them. Let's get back to the first part of the equation. When we're talking about net points, the part that we have to make sure that we talk about next. Points 4. All right, Cowboys. Now, one team is missing that was there for net points, my Niners, and we'll talk about why. Actually, the reason why is very obvious. They're 15th in scoring. They put up 156. Cowboys are 5th. They put up 190. Vikings 192. So you see,
impressive.
This is NFC stuff. Then you got 3 AFC teams at the top of the heap there, with the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Patriots at 223. Now, points scored, not as big a differential.
No.
Not as big a differential. 14, 21 would be 7. So about 9-point difference between first and second place in terms of scoring. So the Ravens are putting the points on the board. The Chiefs were putting the points on the board. The Vikings are putting the points on the board. Got to give it to them. Now, if you look down just a little bit below, actually tied with the Cowboys at 190 is the Rams.
Okay.
Okay, so again, your NFC, your Texans, At 7th, 185. Packers right below them, 184. Ninth is the Seahawks, 181. And 10th, the team that I said looks like the same team from last year, the Buccaneers.
Right.
10th in scoring with 173.
Yeah.
All right, say what you want.
Now they are coming off a bye. You just explained it don't mean nothing, right?
What, the bye?
Let's give them a break.
Well, no, it's
because they were putting up pretty historic numbers.
It means something to tell you what they might be doing with next week or this coming weekend.
Right. They could actually make another jump in this category. That's all.
In this category.
In this category. It's only in this category.
You're being very specific here.
Yeah.
In this category. No doubt about it. Okay, let's get to the next part of the equation. There, they were talking about points against. All right. This is ridiculous. You know, 112 for the Titans, and you said you don't even like to watch them play, right?
The Titans, they're boring.
They're boring, that's what you said, but they're the top 5.
But they got Tannehill playing now, so I might watch some games. I think it was Mariota. I had Mariota syndrome or something.
Yeah, he's been around so long and not
done nothing.
What you
since.
thought he was going to do.
Yeah, but that could be it. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a shot.
Well, Trubisky ended up as I like to say, which is why the Bears are actually on offense 28th.
Yeah, they're poor.
112, tied with the Broncos at 112 on offense. What do you think the Broncos are thinking about the Flacco experiment right now?
Well, Drew Lock, I think, is injured or is just coming off of an injury. So now they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, do we throw him out there? He hasn't even had a lot of practice time. Or do we just keep struggling along with this guy? And now we took away his number one. They're going to start.
If you're going to be a statue, you have to be very decisive and get rid of the ball. He's got enough height where he should be able to see the field and get rid of the ball. And he's standing there like he's on no-dose or doze or something. I don't know what the heck he's doing. But we were talking about defense. Bears at 105. Bills, your defense, 91.
Talking about them.
Niners, everybody's talking about my Niner defense, holding up their part. Got to give the Niners this. I think that they are probably the number 1 team this season in goal line stands.
That could be. We could probably check that.
Yeah, we could probably check that. But
the Niners are exciting to watch. They're fun to watch. Just like I was saying, the Titans are boring. They are fun to watch. Their front 7 is so freaking accurate. I mean, active. They're extremely active. They're just fun to watch. I'll watch a Niners game anytime I come on. I don't care who they're playing.
Love to hear. So, and the Patriots, now again, this defense.
No weaknesses. None. Zero weaknesses.
I kept thinking last week, would it be like a skew, the amount of takeaways and everything were the Jets just, did they come out and they just had a Patriot haze over their face? Was there something going on? But they were, like I said, they're catching balls that they're not even having to, they're just standing there and like the defense is so totally confused, the offense, then he's throwing balls and he's just throwing them over people and he's just dropping in people's hands.
Once again, Sam Darnold is not a rookie quarterback, but played like one in that game. He's only his second year. Again, the Patriots throw so much at you from week to week. And a team like theirs that's not really dynamic on offense doesn't really give a team like the Patriots defense much to worry about. So scheme-wise, they are far and away more ready for that game than the Jets offense. And he saw ghosts.
That's what he said.
They gave him one thing, they took it away. Gave him something
Breaking
else.
it down into thirds or neighborhoods, as I like to talk about. Once you get past 5th place, now you're talking about the Cowboys, Steelers, Panthers, Broncos, and Colts. Broncos defense.
There's some good defenses in there. The Broncos defense.
10th rather. Broncos defense. 10th in points given up.
far as I'm concerned, they've been playing over their heads, and I think they had a couple of games where they really got a little lucky. They have some wins, right? Don't they have a couple of wins? Let me check they got 2 wins. So, but other than that, I think we'll see them start to plummet.
The Buccaneers at 26. So that's what I was talking about.
That's pretty good for them.
Well, but again, it's reminiscence. Like that hasn't changed.
No, that hasn't changed.
New coach, all that kind of stuff, that really hasn't changed.
Right. But remember, all I said really was that Jameis should be better. So I would challenge myself to later on, or if you're out there, take a quick look in your phone and find out his interception numbers. And well,
he had one bad
giveaway
game,
numbers,
right?
interceptions and fumbles lost between this time this year and this time last year.
Now, Packers, another defense that you like coming in at 12th.
Yes.
Thought they might be a little higher.
They will be.
They're behind the Colts, the Broncos, the Panthers, and the Steelers.
Yeah, they play well, as you'll see when we get to turnover differential, but they give up points. They give up some scores. They were in some shootout games.
They are ahead of the Chargers and the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about the Saints defense like that's a top 5 defense. It's not. It's right middle of the pack, 14th in terms of points given up.
Okay.
It's a little better than the Jaguars, the Chiefs, the Browns. The Ravens and the Jets both have given up the same number of points, 156.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little lower than middle of the road, 19 and 20 right there. Your Rams are 22nd in defense. They gave up the same thing as the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Seahawks, I'm surprised that's kind of a surprise for me. They're actually tied with the Washington team that needs to change their name.
They're hurting on D.
At 176.
They're kind of hurting on D. Pass rush isn't getting anybody. Teams are throwing the ball on, running on them too, kind of. It's not pretty.
Well,
I'm just saying.
You know, it's like when you say running on them, I'm like, okay, I hope you're not including what
Sure I am.
Lamar did.
Sure I am.
There's not many teams who are going to continue to do that. Ingram had a decent.
What do you mean? Stop Lamar?
No, I'm saying,
stop him?
Like in terms of them giving up rush yards.
Oh, okay.
They won't be giving up as many as they gave up.
All right.
I think,
All right.
He's got those 2 extra gears.
Okay.
What is your standard car? Was it 4 gears? Standards. You don't even
5-speed.
You've been Ubering it since 1900.
Well, the Uber I ride ain't got 5-speed.
Yeah, got 5-speed.
5-speed stick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That's not normal?
A stick shift?
Yeah.
People have sticks, but who has sticks?
Not many. Yeah, I had a guy pick me up, and he had a stick shift.
I bought my daughter a car at the auction. Needless to say, we screwed it up, and it had a stick shift. She wouldn't even drive it. It was like
she didn't even give it a shot.
Oh man, it was so disappointing.
Make me think about the old Bug back in the day. Remember the Volkswagen?
Automatic stick. The stick. It was all the fun of a stick with no clutch.
Right.
And I knew how to do a clutch. That's craziness. All right, what are we at? What are we looking at here? We getting ready.
Having too much fun.
This is the guy that adds the plus to the bias plus.
Good old Tide.
Good old Tide. Turnover differential. And again, with a healthy lead over everybody. Mm-hmm. Let's start with the Bears at +4, Panthers at +6, tied with the Packers at +6. It's a little scary. We'll talk about that in the matchup show. Bias plus report. Steelers at 7. Again, I think they got a little extra in there because of that great turnover they had against the Niners. They didn't score off of them, but they were taking the ball from. Well, we were giving it to them. Niners were giving it to them left and right. That was a 5. I think that was a 5 turnover game. So I'm saying, this is game 7.
Yeah.
If 5 of your turnovers came from one game,
Okay.
Then the other 6 games you only had 2.
You only had 2.
So that's
okay, I would
number's
consider that a true skew.
Yeah, that's a bit skewed. Patriots at plus 14.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be a jet skew now?
No.
We have to see.
No.
We have to see.
So there you see the Packers at tied. Okay. Packers are getting turnovers, and that's what makes them so good. They did have some shootout games where the scoring got away from them a little bit, but turnovers win games for you sometimes.
Turnovers lead to yards and points. You know, I mean, let's face it. For example, Russell Wilson, pick 6. You know, that's turnover and leading the points directly. Number 1 was the Patriots. They were plus 14. Dolphins again in 32nd place. The only team that was in 32nd place in any of the categories, net points, points for, points against, and turnover differential, other than the Dolphins, was the Falcons.
In points against.
Giving up a high of 223.
Dude.
Dolphins only gave up 211.
They need to go full rebuild. Now Ryan's got an ankle. They got to go full rebuild, man. They lost Mohamed Sanu. They're going to start dumping people. Might be more than one tanking team in this league.
Well, let's mention, as we talk about dumping people, we're coming up on the trade deadline, which is what, next week, next Sunday or something like that?
We're getting close, so there's going to be more movement.
The movement is going to increase in velocity, but for right now, and this is, again, my game 8 against – and you know what's messed up about this game? Remember I told you about the last game I played when I played the Browns and they had Kareem Hunt, and I was kind of like my mindset wasn't prepared really for him. It was like I hadn't really kind of,
they did the little whammy
on. I'm playing the Panthers. They got Cam, a healthy Cam.
Okay, a healthy Cam. That makes a difference.
Tell me about it.
It's a difference.
It made me appreciate because there's that question. Do they bring Cam back now? They got this guy playing so good. They're not going to for the Niners game, that's for sure. But Cam's chomping at the bit to get back. Drew Brees chomping at the bit to get back. Watching these backups play well in their place. But at the lower end, some of the teams that I think we're a little surprised at. Well, first of all, your Cowboys and your Rams tied at 16th and 17th with net 0 in the turnover differential. That is
Rams. Okay. All right.
Now this is the neighborhood.
Take care of the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
first thing I do is look at the quarterback when I see that. Like, your defenses aren't terrible. So that means if you don't have a positive turnover differential, then you're giving the ball away.
Well, when we played the Steelers, we were giving it away every way possible. Fumbles, interceptions, we were doing it.
But I always look at the quarterback first.
But he's the one that handles the ball every time beside the center. So at the lower end, again, the Raiders at 25th. I just want to mention that. Eagles at 21 with -2. At 26 through 26 and 27 are -4. There's 3 with -2. That's the Eagles, Buccaneers, and the Washington team that needs to change their name. So they're all -2. On the plus side, your Vikings, Cardinals, Niners, and Ravens all +2. Your Bears, Lions, Titans, Chiefs, and Saints all +4. Packers and Panthers +6. Steelers +7. And so those are your turnover differential numbers. Just trying to look at all 32 teams, give everybody an idea about who's where, who's giving up what points, who's scoring what points, and who's got the turnover differential going in for their team. So we're going to wrap up the top 5 segment.
I got one more thing.
Got one more thing.
We're talking about numbers, and last week we had a discussion about teams that were sitting in the mid-range, right around 15, 16, 17 in the total net point power rankings. So I went back to week 4 and I did a quick comparison, and off the top of my head, I picked 3 teams that I like that I think are improving, especially defensively. But I didn't look at them in the points against category. I looked at them in the power rankings. So week 4, the Packers were sitting at number 9. This is overall power rankings.
Net points.
Net points. The Packers were at 9. The Panthers were at 11. These are 3 defenses that I respect. And the Bills were at 13. Week 5, the Packers jumped from 9 to 8. The Panthers jumped from 11 to 9. And the Bills jumped from 13 to 12. Not big jumps, little incremental. Week 6, Panthers number 6, Packers number 9, Bills number 10. This week, Packers 7, Panthers 8, Bills 9. This is what you can do if you really watch the show, you really pay attention to the power rankings, and watch how teams fluctuate. And the fun of it is for me to figure out why they're fluctuating. Like, yeah, okay, you see a team win, you see a team lose. But what is it about the team that's making them better or worse? That's the fun part for me. But you don't let these teams sneak up on you. These 3 teams have quality defenses. So I don't want them to sneak up on you. If they start really playing well and start progressing, that's probably why.
And then you have to add to the mix what we just mentioned about the trade deadline.
Absolutely. All that's going to come into play.
That piece that's really going to make the difference. This is all about the difference.
Right.
Net points is the difference. And so, you'll see somebody make a move in points for, points against, adding defense, adding offense. And then you also, and it's interesting because sometimes you think, well, this guy's better than that guy. Then he goes into a unit that makes the unit work better.
It's not always just about the player. Sometimes it's about where he ends up going and how he fits.
Exactly. Okay, we're getting ready to take a look at the next part, which is a review of the games in week 7. Hang in there with us. So, Ben, we're going to go back and we're going to look at week 7. I'm just going to do some quick commentary on the games for last week. Let's start out with the most recent one, which was the Jets-Panthers. And again, we are at Ben and Barry on Football on Facebook. We're just sharing some quick information. What did you think about that one?
Well, it was no brainer. Obviously, I picked the Patriots, and they were the Bias Plus pick also. The most interesting thing probably about the game is the fact that Sam Darnold was mic'd up and was on the bench caught saying that he was seeing ghosts. Everybody's having a lot of fun with it. The coach is acting all butthurt because, oh, you shouldn't do that. You embarrassed the guy. The guy wasn't embarrassed. He was seeing ghosts. And I think it was Ryan Clark that I heard say the other day that there comes a time in every professional football quarterback's career, maybe more than once, obviously more than once, where they do get caught seeing ghosts. Sometimes defenses throw stuff at you that you just don't recognize, something you didn't see in film study, something that you guys didn't talk about in your quarterback meetings. Those things happen. I mean, that's part of the game. You know what I mean? It's how you overcome it. That's why they look at those little pads when they come to the sideline, like, what happened? Oh, okay. So now we need to do this.
His receivers didn't bail him out too much either. A lot of times, the receiver, if he sees that the ball's coming and that somebody else has a better opportunity, he's supposed to turn into a defender and go defend that pass and keep that and stop that interception. Not watch it. Go like, yeah, he's overthrowing this.
You're right.
So I don't know about that, but Patriots all the way. They were a tremendous bias in their favor last week. Let's take a quick look at Saints Bears. You get a chance to watch that one.
Yeah. Saints defense, very impressive. Bears had the bias plus. I picked the Saints. So I got a win there, which I was very happy about. I like the way they're playing. I love the fact that Teddy Bridgewater is being successful and leading the team. And I'm even happier that they haven't lost the game and Drew Brees should be back after the bye. There's some talk of bringing him back this week. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm sure the Saints don't care what I think, but I would let him sit this week, sit out the bye, prepare him for the next game and be ready. And even though I have Alvin Kamara on a couple of my fantasy teams, at this point, I'd rather he sit out. Wait till after the bye to come back also so they can finish the stretch run. This is the revenge tour for the Saints. So, you know, they feel like they got jobbed a couple times on their way to the Super Bowl in some past years. So, you know, things are looking up for them.
All right.
Notice I didn't say anything bad about the Bears. I'm trying to be positive and upbeat.
About the Bears?
About this whole segment.
Yeah, I know why you're trying to be positive and upbeat.
The Bears defense, the Bears' great defense, can't stop the run. Everybody's running on them. Everybody's running. Latavius Murray, ex-49er, had 2 touchdowns on them boys. Yes.
No, he was with the Vikings, right?
Did he go straight from the Vikings to the Saints? I would keep it mixing him up with McKinnon. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, guess what? I take that away. Anyhow, Latavius Murray scored 2 touchdowns and was running the ball all up and down on them boys. Come on, man.
What did I tell you when they were in England?
Y'all.
What did I tell you about Mac?
Mm-hmm.
I kept looking.
Great pass rusher, can't make a tackle.
Back, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's Mac.
That happens sometimes. These guys, they get overpowered.
They had that big left tackle on them. Hey. They tried to move them over to the other side.
Hey.
But, you know, them boys is big too.
Yeah, that's right.
Them boys are big also. So, absolutely. All right. After that, let's go to Chargers, Titans.
I lost this game. The bias plus was for the Titans.
Sure was.
I talked bad about the Titans. I said they were boring.
Sure did.
And they finally gave the ball to Tannehill. And Tannehill has proven himself to be a competent quarterback, which isn't saying a whole lot, but it is saying a lot about him being better than Mariota. Okay, no more Mariota bashing.
So far.
So far. My problem is, what the heck is wrong with the Chargers? Something's wrong with the Chargers. Something's not right. They look real mediocre right now.
First off, let's start with the running back situation.
Okay. I thought it was working out to be okay. Even though it took him a long time to decide to come back.
His name is escaping.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon, okay. We follow Melvin Gordon at Wisconsin. He came in. I told you the first year he looked like everything looked a little wide-eyed. And then by the second year, he had caught
like he was really
in it. He held out. From what I understand, he's literally saying that it was a fail. His holdout was a fail.
It was.
He said,
I'm glad he's being honest.
I think that kind of demonstrates leverage. Who has leverage, who really doesn't. He didn't have it, you know. He wasn't that running back that, you know, and if Le'Veon didn't have it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what would make him think that he would?
I wondered about that myself. And then in this game, he's at the goal line and they give it to him twice and he fumbles it.
Not only does he get stopped, he fumbles it.
He fumbles it, you know.
That was the game, wasn't it? That cost him the game.
Yeah, fundamentally. Fundamentally. And, you know, he's a good guy. You know, I just hope it don't screw his head up, you know, anything like that. But, again, you got to have a power game. I don't see him as a power back. He's got some nice size, but I didn't see him as, I mean, Corey was the power back. When
he can break tackles in the open field. It's getting to that second level that's his problem.
Plus, he's a little tall. You know what I mean?
And he runs a little tall.
He runs a little tall. Yeah, yeah. So when he got
everybody's
hit,
not Eric Dickerson.
Your cousin.
He ran tall, like, can't none of y'all catch me.
Well, he probably, I don't remember him in a lot of
burst.
goal line situations because nobody ever caught him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he already scored from like 20 yards out. So
he didn't have the goal line stuff to worry about with Dickerson.
Right.
He was out. Vikings, Lions. All right, so if the Saints think that they're put upon, I can't imagine what the Lions think in terms of being put upon.
They lost a couple toughies.
But the Vikings came out, fired them up. Kirk Cousins fired them up. Division game.
Yeah.
So, right now, your Lions have a net point of -11 and they're 20th. So they're not completely out of it. But they've got some work to do. When I look for the Lions in terms of scoring, they're right in the middle, 16th given at 149. They're on the lower end of the middle on defense, giving up 160 at 20th. So that's kind of where they are right now. But it's, you got to get over the hump. They're just having a problem getting over the hump. But they look like a team that should be able to get it done. But then so is the Vikings. They look like, they're not much better. They're just over the hump right now.
I felt
they're a little more over the hump because they're coming in third in net points.
Yeah.
Little more than over the hump.
A little more than a little more. But I felt bad for the Lions because of the whole penalty situation a couple weeks ago and all that. And I thought maybe at home they might put it together, but seems that Kirk Cousins has really taken the challenge, Hey,
look, Eagle fans, look at Kirk Cousins and see when they talk bad about the quarterback, how they bounce back, man. Maybe some of that Wentz conversation.
Here's the difference. Thielen went directly to him.
Mm.
They had a one-on-one, and Diggs wasn't shy. He didn't put stuff out to Josina Anderson. Hey, Josina. He didn't put stuff out to Josina Anderson and then sit back and you know what I mean? He came right out like, y'all got to get me the ball.
Body language,
proving it.
Body language with him said that he wasn't comfortable because when he had his press conference, he had that stupid hood on him, which was halfway covering his face and everything. Yeah, it just kind of made him look. It looked like it had to be uncomfortable because guys tend to do that. These coaches now, they're wearing their hat down over their head when they have to talk about the loss, and all of a sudden they're like this, especially that guy from the Jets. That's crazy. If
you had eyes like him, you wear a hat too.
Yeah, that might be true. That might be
My
true.
My thing is, I haven't seen Diggs catch a pass where he was actually covered in like 3 weeks.
I know he's wide.
He's running away from people.
He's wide
it's
open.
Crazy.
That's why you don't know how much to give to Kirk Cousins, because if he's that wide open, even Kirk Cousins.
Oh, let's not come on now. Let's not be that way.
Hey, let's not miss out on a good Kirk Cousins bash, man.
Good chemistry
good
on
Kirk
a team
Cousins
that already has a good
healthy
game.
for America. Kirk Cousins don't care. He done made so much.
He really doesn't care.
He made so much. And guess who made a lot of money? We didn't really talk about him. Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler made so much money. They wrote articles when he retired. He retired like about 2 weeks ago. They wrote articles about how much money he made in the NFL. He was like a cold-blooded 500 guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did he make more money than Dan Orlovsky?
Maybe so. I think he did.
Okay.
I don't think Dan Orlovsky. See, Brock got that big pay after he won that 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, he did have some success.
Yeah, he had like 1 or 2 games.
And he
very
had such
timely
promise.
Point with the Broncos and everybody.
Right.
And then he got snatched up by the Texans. They was like, he's 6'8", whatever.
Yeah.
He's looking good. They signed him to the big contract.
Yeah.
But I used to call him Braswell.
Braswell.
Well, that's what you got from,
Bet you they got his name right at the bank.
Oh, I'm telling you. All right, dude, what did we talk? We talked about that. Did we talk about the Packers Raiders?
No, we didn't, but we shall.
Oh man, let's talk about the Packers.
Uh,
First off, if you go to Ben and Barry on Football, Instagram, etc., we recognized Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Some historic numbers and a perfect quarterback rating, 158.3.
Yes. Poor Raiders. I did get this one right. It wasn't hard. Bias Plus said that the Packers should win this game, especially at home. The Raiders actually are putting up some competition in quite a few games, but I love seeing Aaron Rodgers do what he's doing with the weapons that he has. Hopefully Devontae will be back this week. But the sky's the limit for the Packers with the defense playing as well as it is. And even though they've had some shootouts, they are turning the ball over. And every time you turn the ball over and give it back to Aaron Rodgers, that's a good thing. So, running game's going good. Got to like the Packers.
Raiders are 25th in turnover differential with -3. And the Packers are 3rd with +3.
Yes, sir.
So that's how that works out. Let's take a quick look at our next game. Oh man, look, let's, you wouldn't indulge me with some Kirk Cousins bashing. What about some Eagle bashing? Now he's a Giants fan. I'm a Niner fan, so I'm much more benign relative to the Eagles. You're on the hate list of Philadelphia Eagles fans.
I'm surrounded by both Eagles and Cowboy fans.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, most of the guys on my flag football team seem to be either Eagles fans or Cowboys fans. I would probably say those are the two teams most represented. So I'm hearing this all the time. My thing is, I try to back out when my team's not playing well. But for some reason, the Eagle fans just won't let me. But that's kind of the nature of the Eagle fans. They pull me back in. So I've been on Facebook all day going back and forth. So I don't want to really go in on them. I will say this, however. Please, if you're an Eagles fan, give up on the Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott thing for now. Like let that lay.
What do you mean thing?
The whole who's better and Dak shouldn't make more money than him and who does Dak think he is, not accepting the contract and trying to get more money, because we're trying to get Wentz money. Well, he's playing like he deserves Wentz money. Wentz is not playing like he deserves Wentz money. But that's the Eagles have way more problems than just Wentz. So let's let that die. The next thing is, I knew the game was over when the boy kicked the 63-yard kick. Yeah. And I found out in his career, he's kicked 2 62-yarders and a 60-yarder. He ain't even been around that long.
Yeah?
This guy's got a
bomb
leg. Yeah, man. I mean, you got to believe in a dude like that. But other than that, it was...
That is like indoors, though, right?
Yeah, they still got the hole in the roof, but
the hole in the roof.
Yeah, if the weather's good, I think they keep it open. But still, conditions are pretty good there. Yeah, conditions are pretty good there. I don't have a whole lot to say about that game. I thought it was going to be a typical Eagles-Cowboys game, and it was for like a quarter or something. And then,
did you see the video of the guy, the Eagle guy, crying
in the stands?
In an interview after the game or something,
one of the players?
No,
a fan?
A fan. He's got the hat with the flapping eagle wings.
Yeah, whatever. Stop. Why bother? Look, all is not lost. You still play a team in Washington that needs to change their name. I think you got to play the Giants twice. Okay, stop your crying. Win the games you're supposed to win. Okay.
Eagles are 22nd in net points at
you don't have anybody to blame.
15.
Y'all worried about people talking bad about you. Talk to your team. Tell them win some games. Greatest meme. I'm sorry. I'm off this. Greatest meme. They had Aguilar. the pass that people said he should have caught, it was a baby wrapped up in the meat. Remember the guy that's sitting there catching babies? Oh, all right, I'm done. I'm sorry, I went too far.
Couldn't help yourself, could you?
I couldn't help it.
Couldn't help yourself. All right. Did we talk about the Broncos? Did we talk about Kansas City? Mahomes.
I'm upset about this one.
Mahomes.
I picked the Broncos.
You sure did, didn't you?
What was I thinking?
I wasn't quite sure
at
the time, and I try not to get too far into trying to figure that out sometimes. I mean, it wasn't a humongous bias plus score for the Chiefs.
Right.
But
and they were coming off 2 losses.
Yeah, but the Broncos, again, you know, the Flacco experiment, you know, it's something not.
You're absolutely right. I
don't
just
know
thought
what's going on there.
I just thought they could get them in Mile High, catch them while they were down, and maybe sting them.
Yeah, well, the Mahomes is.
Yeah, well, I lost
We're
that.
out in full strength on that one. Let's take a quick look at the next one.
Good game.
My intriguing. Do I know how to pick them?
That's a good game.
Do I know how to pick them as intriguing games of the week?
I'm not even sure if I'm happy about the outcome of that game. I'm not sure. I like both teams. I love both quarterbacks.
I was almost as you know how I talk about with fantasy and you guys are rooting for your fantasy and sometimes you're rooting.
Start rooting for players instead of teams.
Yeah, and they're playing your team now, but you're trying to get points from the opposition, right. So you're kind of caught in the middle. I was kind of caught in the middle there between the net points, right?
Right.
Which favored the Ravens at 19. Okay. And this was my intriguing or my sleeper team. Right,
the Seahawks.
The Seahawks was the sleeper team.
So, were you looking for a bias bust, or were you looking for?
I was looking for just an exciting game because first of all, you had 2 very mobile quarterbacks. You know, like I said, one who has mastered the Fran Tarkenton spin. That's Mr. Russell Wilson, and the other's got 2 gears. That
more than everybody else. However many they have, he's got 2 more.
He's got 2 extra gears, and you know, so you know that things are going to be popping there, and so you know, I kind of always, I guess I silently root for the net points, but you know, I don't have any choice in that. There's nothing, you know, I can do about that. The numbers are what they are. That's what we always say. But since I'm the one that came up with the Sterling net point power rankings, I got to root for him a little bit.
Sure.
But long story short, an amazing game.
The story of this game may have been the fact that the Ravens were getting ready to kick a field goal, and Lamar Jackson talked them out of it, went for it, and scored.
And not just that's where you saw at least one or
that might have been the difference.
One of those gears that he had because he got the first, could have slid, could have went down.
Not sliding.
Now he's like running by. It's like, oh man,
don't believe in no stinking sliding.
Oh man, look at this guy, man. You know, and so when I do the intriguing game of the week, I write a blog article on it. So you can go back to Sterling Net Point Power Rankings at sterlingnppr.com if you want to take a look at what I wrote on that. I was wondering, was Clowney, with the speed of Clowney at one end, were they going to be able to kind of, you know, match Lamar up,
maybe box him in a little bit,
box him in, or have someone that could kind of track him, you know, because, you know, you have the quarterback, what do you call it, when the one guy that stays spy, you know, you got to spy that guy a little bit, you know. The challenge with spying somebody is the run, because Ingram is coming. He's coming angry.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to love that whole combination that they have there. Right. But long story short, it was my intriguing game of the week, and I enjoyed it. I truly did.
Yep.
What's going on behind this? Go ahead.
Looks like your game ended there.
So, Ben, our next game here, my beloved, hand over the heart, 49ers playing in absolutely horrid conditions, having fun like children, sliding around, You know, it's almost like, remember what was the Eagle game and all of that snow was shady, you know?
Oh, right. When everybody else was slipping and he wasn't?
He wasn't, you know?
Amazing.
That's when we came up with they don't know about shady in the snow.
Right. I remember that.
They don't know. But yeah, absolutely hard. The conditions kind of dictated your offensive game plan. You know, run the ball. You're not going to do but so much throwing at, you know, and that with the rain and as heavy as it is, if you could avoid it, which played into the Niners'
hands because the run is their strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their defensive front is their strength. So yeah, everything was in their favor. The bias plus was 164. You know, I didn't expect the score to be that low, but then when you look at the conditions, you can see why. So
yeah.
It was basically like, let's get a lead and just.
Richard Sherman said we won the Mud Bowl championship. So that's kind of how that wound up there. All right. Now, the Rams and the Falcons. Rams were had a 52 bias plus score in their favor going into this game. And I don't think anybody really expected that the Falcons were going to snap out of it all of a sudden and really put the thing down on them. As of week 7, if you look at the totals, the Falcons are 29th in net points at minus 78. So that kind of lets you know what that matchup looked like. In a way, you think, other than the fact that the Rams haven't been playing the bias plus should have been bigger. When you think in your mind, you see Rams, you're like, oh yeah, you know, Rams.
Yeah.
You know, but the Rams aren't knocking it out the park right now.
Kudos to them for making the West Coast East Coast trip also.
Okay.
The Falcons really don't have much fight left in them. They're going to start losing players to trades real soon. Actually, they already have, and I'm sure they're going to lose more. They're going to start unloading people. There's not much more to play for. Yeah. Oh, wow. We're about to talk about another team that doesn't have much to play for.
Teams that don't have much to play for. You mean like the Bengals?
Yeah, I mean like the Bengals. Gee whiz. Don't be surprised if A.J. Green gets traded shortly after he becomes healthy. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised.
I hear that Foles is looking at maybe week 11 return.
Oh, really?
Came up today, yeah. My sources.
They got a little small dilemma there.
Well,
Minshew's not out of magic.
I think that they don't have as much of a dilemma as Carolina.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think that, you know, anybody's going to say, no, Foles, you hold up, because we think Minshew's going to be the answer.
Now, remember,
and I was pretty much.
We don't care what Eagle fans think. We know they all would like Foles back. They all love Foles. They still love Foles. But what do the people in Jacksonville think? That's the question.
Well, they paid big money to bring him down there, and he didn't get a chance to stink anything up yet.
That's true.
So, you know.
Got a point there.
As far as they're concerned, he's the man still, you know. He probably was in there coaching Minshew. You know, and
I'm sure
he's
sure
that kind of guy. You know, talking about that kind of guy. Let's talk about Danny Dimes and your New York Football Giants.
All right,
falling to Kyler, the Rookie of the Year, Murray, looking like they're getting stronger every week, man. The Cardinals.
I believe the Cardinals have won 3 games in a row.
Something to that effect, man.
I believe that their coach should be very proud, and he should stick to his guns, and he should continue to try to develop this team, especially this offense. He picked the right guy in Kyler Murray. I think the Giants also picked the right guy, but they just do not have the weapons around him. They just don't. And I'm not talking about skill position weapons. I'm talking about being able to protect this guy. He's proven that if you protect him, he's an excellent passer. He's also proven, like most guys, if you don't protect him, he can have some errant throws. That's all there is to it. We don't have to get into the whole giant stink thing and all that, okay? I'm happy with my quarterback, but he had a really, really tough day. And yeah, he threw some balls that he shouldn't have. Consequently, Kyler Murray looked good. Now, he didn't complete a bunch of passes in the second half, but he moved the team. And that's what he gets paid for. You know what I mean? So hats off to the Cardinals. Good job.
Yeah.
I lost that one. Yeah, I picked the Giants. I'm going to stop these sentimental picks.
Yeah, sure you
starting this week. I am, man.
Sure.
Because they're killing my record.
I'm telling you.
They're killing my record.
All right. How about this sentimental pick? Bills Dolphins. Now, this came in Bills at a 164 bias plus score in their favor. Again, matched the Niners bias plus score.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins played a little bit.
Dolphins actually put up a little rumble here. They put up a fight. Low scoring game, right? It was a low scoring game, right?
I have to go back and double check.
But
I remember them playing pretty well.
But
or playing. And they were
it was competitive. It was a competitive game. Probably a little more competitive than the Bills would have liked, especially at home. I believe, and they're not good enough to do this. They're good, but they're not good enough to do this. But I believe they took the Dolphins lightly and got themselves into a little funk and ended up having to fight their way out of it. But
took somebody lightly, wow.
Yeah, and that's something.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
Still happens.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Who's up next here? Up next. Colts, Texans. Now, Texans, bias plus score in their favor of 31. Colts won that game.
I picked the Colts to win that game
by a touchdown, which meant that the difference between what they won by and what the bias plus score was the largest of the weekend.
Really?
Making the Colts the bias busters of the week.
Excellent job. Jacoby Brissett. Wonderful game. Great acrobatic catch by Eric Ebron in the back of the end zone, one-hander. Deshaun showed off again. Phew, man, tough game. Tough one for the Texans, especially when they had the bias. But Colts are a team to be reckoned with.
Colts are a team, I'm telling you, And there's nobody coming back.
That's a division game, too.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's big. Big win for the Colts.
And Jacoby is not like he's the second string and there's somebody going to come back.
No, he's it.
He's the man now.
Yep.
So what you see is what you get with the Colts.
Yep.
And not bad.
Nope, not at all.
Not bad at all. All right. So that wraps up the review of week 7. And now we're going to get ready to move on to the next chapter of the show, the Bias Plus Report, also known as the Matchup Show.
Oh, yeah. My favorite.
Your favorite. All right. So in this segment, we're going to do the Bias Plus Report, also known as
the Matchup
the
Show.
Matchup Show. Absolutely. Now, what is the Bias Plus? One more time. This is based on net points. So if you have a team that's playing another team, one team has a net point, the other team has a net point. Let's assume team B is 5 net points. Team A has 25 net points through whatever number of games they played, right? And they're going to play each other. The bias is the difference between those net points. 25, 5, difference is 20, and that net point bias favors the team with the greater net points. Why we call it a bias. We're not guaranteeing anybody's going to win anything, but that's what they've been doing. Well, good idea that they just might. We call this a lagging indicator. That's what they call it in the investment world anyway. Now, what's the plus? Turnover differential. Another stat that you can go plus or minus in.
Right.
and then we add that to the net point bias, or we take away, depending, because sometimes Team A is playing Team B, and Team A has a net point bias in their favor, but Team B has the turnover differential bias. So in that case, you're not going to just add those two together. You're actually going to do some subtraction. Nobody likes to do subtraction. But long story short, if one team has a net point bias of 50, and then the other team has a turnover differential bias of 10, then the bias plus score is going to be that difference, which would be 40, favoring the team with 50. But now we know we got to keep an eye on that differential. So let's take a quick look at the bias plus report, which you will be able to find at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. All right. Where are we here? Yes. All right, so first up in the order for the Bias Plus report, the Washington team that needs to change their name versus the Vikings. Vikings are home. Vikings have a net point bias in their favor of 155 and a turnover differential bias of 4, giving them a bias plus score of 159 in favor of the Vikings.
I love the Vikings in this game. Kirk Cousins has an opportunity to, it would probably be more fun for him if this game was in Washington, so he could really stick it to everybody and the fans too. But he's not going to forget that this is a team that kind of did him dirty. This game should be
the most money out of someone who was being done dirty than anybody.
Yeah, but he did that for himself. He in other words, he turned lemons into lemonade.
Right. That's what I'm basically saying the same thing. He did great.
But he would have rather
they just wouldn't believe in him enough to give him a long-term contract.
Exactly, and that meant a lot to him.
And they kept giving him the franchise tag, and he's like, okay,
I'm gonna take the cash.
You don't really like me.
Right.
I'll take your, was it $20 million? They were like $20 million pops every time he went on the franchise tag.
At least because you got to be paid within the top 5 at your position.
Top 5, right. So whether he was, somebody you believed him or not, you had to pay him like he was
getting raises off of other people's raises.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like, I always talked about, him going into Vikings and everything.
Right.
And sometimes it sounds like maybe I'm negative on him, but I'm real positive on his business side.
Yes, absolutely. So he made the best out of that situation.
That, I'm giving it to him, and I think he's going to come back in and give it to the Redskins when he gets a chance, when they come in to Minnesota there. So we shall see. All right. Your Falcons are playing your Seahawks. We have a bias score of 83, a turnover differential of 12 favoring the Seahawks, giving them a bias plus score of 95. That's the Falcons versus the Seahawks. What you got?
Russell Wilson doesn't have much to worry about. He can probably come out with a blindfold on because the Falcons don't get turnovers. That being said, they're going to have their hands full, and the crowd in Atlanta will probably be booing very heartily before this game is over. I don't think the Seahawks will have any trouble at all handling these guys. I'm going to take the Seahawks going with the bias. This one's pretty easy. Falcons are shambles.
Shambles, he says.
Shambles.
I don't think we've used that word too often on the show. Didn't we talk about the Vikings already?
Yes, we did.
All right. Next. Oh, that's because I'm going in the wrong
direction.
Moving in the wrong direction. Living just enough. All right. Where are we here? Let's talk about the Bills. The Bills. Every time I see the Bills, I think about not Pulp, Kill Bill. When she goes down to South America and she's looking for Bill, and she's talking to the guy that raised him.
Right.
And he's like, "You looking for Bill?"
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Eagles looking for Bill. I don't know if they really want to find these.
They're going to find him. They're going to find him.
You're going to find Bill. Oh, I don't know. Well, in any event, how are we doing with the bias here? The Bills have a net points bias of 45, a turnover differential bias of 1. 46 is their bias plus score. It's not overwhelming.
It's not overwhelming. Hopefully last week's game that the Bills had with the Dolphins is a cautionary tale, and they'll come in with all cylinders firing against the Eagles, because the Eagles can give you a game. It's not like they can't give you a game. But I expect Frank Gore to take his little 2-3 yards of carry and keep the chains moving. And I believe that John Smokey Brown, wide receiver, should get deep on them a couple times, and that should be all that's needed. The defense will take care of the rest. So, yeah, I'm going with the Bills, going with the bias.
Let's see. Eagles struggled against the Cowboys defense, right?
Yep.
Cowboys points against are 7th. Bills points against are 3rd. So they're stepping this. They're going to have to step their game up, because the defense they're playing is a step above what they've had to deal with up to this particular point. So however,
they're going to have to play better. Do they have it in them?
Do they have it in them? All righty. I'm going in the direction as usual. And I'm listening to the coach, Doug Peterson, and he seems to think that they only need a couple tweaks. We can tweak a couple things here and tweak a couple things there. We can be all right. I think he thinks he can get back on schedule with some tweaks.
You keep making me talk about the Eagles. Why are you doing this, man? You think their secondary only needs a tweak?
I'm telling you.
No, I mean, I know he said
That's what the coach said.
I know he said it. He's crazy if he thinks all they need is a tweak. Okay? They need a lot more than a tweak. Their linebacking core needs a lot more than a tweak. Their pass rush might be able to get away with a tweak, but that tweak would have to be a free agent pickup from somewhere that's got some life left in them. Okay? Again, listening to sports radio this morning, at last, I heard somebody agree with me that there is no rhyme or reason, nor can they figure out who decides what running backs are in the game at what time.
Agree with us.
They were agree with us, yes. Well, they didn't exactly agree with me, because I'm the one who made the statement there is no rhyme or reason to it. But they seem to be confused.
That's right. I do think they have a reason.
Somebody asked Deuce, and Deuce said, well, it's Doug. He's the offense coordinator. And somebody asked Doug, and Doug said, is Deuce. Come on, y'all.
That's classic right there, isn't it?
Come on,
That's a classic communication breakdown.
Now, I had Howard in fantasy. I've given up on him already.
Really?
Another team that has a good younger than Howard, the team he came from, the Bears, have David Montgomery. They're doing him just like the Eagles are doing Howard. In fact, the Eagles are being nicer to Howard with his carries than the Bears are. Run the ball. Your quarterback is struggling. Run the ball. But I tell you what, I'll drop Howard before I'll drop Montgomery, because I think the Bears are going to wake up one day in the next few weeks and start really running the ball like they should. I don't think the Eagles will. I don't think
the Bears coach Nagy, who said, I'm not an idiot, I know we have to run the ball. Was it him? Or was it the Vikings coach? One of those guys said
could
that.
have been the Vikings coach.
No, it might have been the Lions coach. Somebody in that division said that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the Lions, they got their own problems.
They got their own problems. All right, let's talk about the Bears, the Chargers.
Something's wrong with the Chargers, bro. I can't figure it out. What's your bias thingy here?
The bias goes with
a tight one here.
Where's that at? The Bears at 16. Is that the low? Nope, it's not the low.
No, it's not the low.
Not the low, but it is tight.
But it's tight. But it's
Tight.
both of these teams are faltering, if you ask me. They're really faltering on both sides of the ball. They're not getting it done. I have no clue on this one, and I know I wasn't going to make any more sentimental picks, and I'm really not. I'm just going to go. I just got to go straight up Bears on the strength of being home. I can't call this.
Bears have a net point bias of 8 and a turnover differential bias of 8.
Okay, well, there's something to hang my hat on there.
Getting that 16 from right there. The turnover differential in their favor. And
all right, I'll hang my hat on that.
Chargers are 27th in turnover differential.
They got problems.
At -4. Bears are 5th at +4.
Yeah, Chargers got a lot of problems, man.
Yeah, that's that 8 right there that we're talking about. And, you know, but I don't know what to say about the Chargers either, except we did talk about, you know, their running game with a running back in that goal line situation. Problematic. Now, is this an intriguing game for you right here?
No,
There's nobody more put upon than the Lions.
This game is not intriguing to me
at all. The Lions are favored by a bias plus score of 96. They have a net point bias of 82. Both teams are in the negative. They have a turnover differential bias of 14. That's second largest of the weekend, giving them a 96 bias plus score in their favor.
It'd be just my luck that somehow the Giants would figure out how to win this game. But I don't want to even spend that much brain power on trying to figure out how that might happen. I'm going to take the Lions. I think the Lions are just a better team. They're just a better team. I hate to say it.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm going with the bias a lot here. I'm becoming very uninteresting. Hopefully we'll get to a game that I can
well, how about this one? Jaguars. Jaguars, Jets.
You're like, oh, no.
I don't think so. However, both teams are in the negative. Jaguars have a bias plus a net point bias in their favor of 89. The turnover bias is only 3 in the Jaguars'
remember the Jets
favor.
were kind of high in turnover differential a few weeks ago?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a 92 bias plus score favoring the Jaguars.
I think the Jets are just that was a beatdown they took. It really was. They got embarrassed. They had no clue on offense. They were totally overmatched on defense, and now they're going against a team that they could actually put up a little fight against. But I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think the Jaguars' defense is just good enough to keep Darnold on his heels. Le'Veon hasn't really had a blow-up game this year. I don't know if this will be the week that he gets it, but I doubt it. And their secondary is pretty bad, so Minshew should pretty much have his way.
Minshew should have his way.
Yeah.
Who would have thought this time last year that those words would be coming out of our mouth? Minshew. Who the heck is Minshew?
Who the heck is Minshew?
Last year, like, huh? Was he even around? Like, he was probably on the practice squad or the bench. So. He was some. Was he around? He was around somewhere. He was at a college dorm somewhere. Bengals, Rams, bias plus score of 107 favors the Rams. The Rams have a 98 net point bias in their favor, a 9 turnover differential bias in their favor. That's 107.
This is another team that's going to be packing it in soon. They'll probably start trading players away before the deadline. They can't win. They can't win.
You think that with a new coach that they would start trading? Like, is he really ready to rebuild like that and just pack it in for this year? Or would they be a team that, because you have a new coach there, that's like, look, let's hang together. Let's see what we can accomplish this year, because, you know, most teams other than the Cardinals aren't firing their coach after the first year. And, you know, they kind of know that he has to make that transition. Yes, no, maybe?
That's a school of thought. But the way they're playing, I wouldn't go that way. I would stick with the coach and give him an opportunity to get a draft under his belt, and possibly, if they don't start selling off players for draft picks, I don't know. That's a tough question, because if they start selling off players for draft picks, that means, dude, we need to rebuild. Everybody knows it, but we're going to put this in your lap because we believe in you. We brought you here to start the new era after the other knucklehead that was there all those years was gone. So we're not going to fire you right away because you're losing all these games. We're gonna start over and let you lead us. Get a draft under your belt. Bring in some players. I would prefer that if I was him, because the players that they have are not getting it done. Now you got to keep Joe Mixon. You really probably should keep AJ Green. They have another receiver, Auden Tate, who's young, but guys like Tyler Boyd, and I don't know anybody in their defense they should keep. They're in bad shape, man. They need to pack it in. That's my opinion. They
Still a little early.
Yeah, it's only mid-season.
It's only mid-season. And speaking of new era, ding, 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 ding. My intriguing game of the week.
This one?
This one.
I know why.
Why?
Because you don't believe in the Saints defense yet. You think Kyler's going to have his little way. He's going to give him trouble.
Well, before we get into my beliefs, I see that the Saints have a net point bias of 48 and a turnover differential bias of 2, giving them a 50 bias plus score in favor of the Saints.
Who I am obviously picking. So now let's hear some splaining.
Well, again, intriguing, right?
Yeah, that's all. I'm not saying you're picking a winner.
Right, I'm not picking a winner.
Why is this game intriguing?
Well, number one,
I want to know what to look for.
We focused in on Kyler Murray and the air raid offense in the preseason. So,
yes, we did.
You know, that's a pet person for me to watch.
Okay.
You know, so I'm very interested in watching him. And I do think that they've gotten better. Now, the running back, David Johnson, is hurt. So that, you know, he was.
Yeah, the young kid Edmonds, though, is looking pretty good.
Okay. You've got the Saints situation. Breeze is not back yet, but, you know, they're undefeated, you know, with Teddy Bridgewater. So, you know, you've got a good Saints team.
Absolutely.
And a team that's getting better. Now coming in and going to have to see, so you can kind of see just where they really stand. Again, they're part of the division with the Niners.
Okay.
So, you know, keeping an eye on them guys, because if they all of a sudden really get good, then that's another competitor in the division. But I'm just
so beating the Giants didn't tell you much, huh?
No.
Okay, I get it.
You know, let's give you some numbers. Let's get away from that one right here. Talk about the Saints. Where are they at here? Okay, the Cardinals. All right, they came in 24th with minus 31 net points. The Saints are 12th with plus 17. So Cardinals are 14th on offense. Saints are 13th on offense. So their production offensively about the same. All right, now the Cardinals are 30th on defense. All right, so we said, and that was kind of a hallmark of their coach while he was with the Red Raiders in college, right? Scored a ton of points.
Right.
Gave up a ton of points. But he has the Broncos ex-head coach as his defensive coordinator?
Oh, Kubiak? No, he's offense.
He was offense. No, the black guy used to be the
I got you. I
think he's their defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay, right? That's good. I'm glad he got the job.
That was the question we asked early on is, okay, if the head coach doesn't have to worry about the defense, if he's got somebody that's really going to come in and handle that.
Yeah. That helps.
Be better. Kind of like with the Rams, you know, that head coach, he his defense.
Not only the fact
handle
that he's an
them.
offensive coach, but also because he's coming from the college ranks. So
He's
he
coming-
really
right.
needed all the help he could
He
get.
needs all the
So
help.
that was good.
So right now that hasn't come to fruition in terms of their points that they're giving up and where they're ranking, but they've been winning. So their net points are getting better. They're improving, and if that defense doesn't, Teddy doesn't go down there and put the thing on them, then it'll be interesting to see how well Kyler can operate against a good defense like the Saints have. So that's why it's intriguing to me. I just want to see this is kind of like a benchmark test for this Cardinals team to see whether or not they're ready to kind of step up and really be competitive.
I agree.
That's why.
And why you're intrigued.
Intriguing to me.
Why you're intrigued. Back in week 4.
He's got the numbers.
The Saints net point power ranking put them at number 22. In week 5, they were number 18. In week 6, they were number 14. And in week 7, they were number 12.
Up and to the right. That's how I like my stocks.
Climbing. Be careful.
What about the Cardinals?
So you mess with the Saints. Well, I didn't do the Cardinals.
You didn't do the Cardinals.
Would you actually like for me? I can do it real fast.
Take a second.
Go ahead. We got another game?
We got another game.
Okay, let's go.
We'll come back to it.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, let me since we're all intrigued about this game, we're gonna do that.
And I have let me say this much while you're looking.
You're absolutely right.
I have to go back and look at more film because I can't say that I see the air raid yet as is being executed by the Cardinals. I can't say, oh, this is telltale air raid. That's where I'm not at yet. I'm not quite there. So whatever they're running, and he's still clapping, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. He's still clapping. That's part of that whole college thing that they're bringing. There's one other team I saw clapping in the NFL. I think there's somebody else. There's somebody else clapping nowadays.
Come on, Chip Kelly.
You know what I like about the Pizza Hut commercial? You hear that one? Mm-hmm. You can't have football without the hut. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, actually. We think about it.
Real quick, Cardinals in week 4, 29th. Week 5, 27th. Week 6, 26th. Small improvement, but improvement.
Small.
And week 7, 24th. So they are on the up.
Okay, all right.
They are on the up.
They're on the upswing.
Give them this will be a good test.
And they, they started out with a tie. So they were net 0.0 after the first game.
How about that? It's almost like a handicap as far as this is concerned.
Yeah, if you went back to probably week, that week and look where they fell in, they were probably like 15. So, then they lost a few, you know. But, hey, I'm interested. The young man has talent. He has obvious arm talent. Yep. He's quick. He can run. So he'll be able to save himself a little bit until they start to really put this thing together and see how, whether this offense could work. But, I believe that great system and great talent equal championships. So I don't know if it's a great system yet for the NFL. They don't have great talent yet. He's kind of like a great talent. He's almost in that great talent. Now, if he was a little taller, if he was Mahomes' height, something like that, then he'd be, but for his height, he gets it done. He's gotten it done at every level in football. So
he's got the arm, he's got the wheels, and he's got the knowledge of the offense. So
he's got the arm, he's got the wheels. Are we talking about Jameis? No, because he don't have the wheels. He got the arm, though.
We're not talking about Jameis. But yeah, let's talk about Jameis. What do we got here?
Buccaneers Titans. Bias Plus favors the Titans. 27. It's a small score. 21 net point bias, 6 turnover differential bias. Jameis had a really bad turnover differential day.
Yeah.
A turnover day, I should say, which I'm sure didn't help them. When I look at this particular game, turnover differential, Buccaneers are 22nd, Titans are 7th. So, Bucks,
go
ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say Bucks are 21st, ranked in net points. Titans are 13th.
Mm.
Bucks are 10th in points for.
All right.
Titans are 25th.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to bank on. And you might not think that's enough, but that's what I'm going to bank on. And I'm going to go against the bias plus on this first game.
Now, before you do that, let me throw that last stat out.
Go ahead.
Because the Titans are 10th on offense, right?
Okay.
I mean, the Buccaneers, right?
Buccaneers
10th on offense.
10th points for.
Right.
Okay.
That's their ranking.
Right.
10th.
Right.
Titans are ranked 5th on defense.
Points against.
So you got a 10th ranked offense against a 5th ranked defense favoring the Titans.
Okay. So the Titans offense is
stanky. It's no, it's not. It's not. They're 13th.
Oh.
And
right, well,
the Bucks are no. I'm sorry. That was net points. They're 25th.
Ah.
So I was right. They're stanky.
Ah.
So that's where their challenge is.
Okay. So
and
all that being said,
and they're starting a new quarterback.
Well, Tannehill's got some run already.
But I mean, it's not the starter. You got somebody else in there now. So new set of numbers coming up.
That's true. And all of that you read explains why everybody's ranked where they are. But Jameis is coming off the bye. All he has to do is protect the ball. I believe that their defense will do just enough to keep the to keep the Titans offense a little flustered. And if Jameis can protect the ball and put up the kind of numbers that he has been putting up in the first half of the season, I think he can turn this game into a shootout, and I don't think the Titans will be able to hang. The only way the Titans will be able to hang is if he throws picks or he gets strip sacked or something.
That is the question.
So I'm going with the Buccaneers against the bias on this game. Just
bucking the bias, eh?
Yes.
All right, bias bucker.
Easy there. FCC.
Broncos visiting the Colts. Colts are favored with a bias plus score of 33. We just talked good about the Colts.
Yeah, and I'm still talking good about the Colts, and I'm expecting them to win. Good game at home for them. Broncos are another team that may be packing it in soon. They already traded away Emmanuel Sanders. They've got a great corner in a guy named Harris on their team that would probably bring in a couple of good draft picks if they decide to let him go. They let him go, they're folding up for real too. But that remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't think they'll give the Colts much trouble.
All right, we're going into week 8. Broncos. This is one of those things where they do on TV all the time. They have some stupid question for you to guess.
Okay.
What week do you think what's the quarterback? Drew Lock is going to begin to play this year. Well, let's say yes or no. You think he's going to play this season, Drew Lock?
Yes. But it's not going to be till later because, like I said, he was nursing an injury. So that means he hasn't had a chance to even get in any, second string reps or anything.
Okay.
I'll guess a week. I'll say 12.
Okay, beginning of the last quarter.
If you can imagine, if you Broncos fans can imagine any much more of Flacco, yeah, week 12 probably seems really far away for you.
Coaches are like, I don't think we got the better part of that deal here. All right, my beloved 49ers are going to host the Panthers, coming in with the quarterback controversy. Cam won't be back, so we don't have to deal with Cam. But
this is my intriguing game.
This is your intriguing game.
This is my intriguing game. You got two real good defenses. One's a little better than the others. That would be the 49ers.
Can I say this much about the defense?
Yeah, sure.
Because having played that game, one thing that now you tell me, have the Niners had played against their offense faced a linebacker as good as Kuechly?
Oh, I don't know. I have to go back and
Yeah, I
look
don't
at,
think we had
some of your games.
in
But,
terms of that, you know.
yeah, it's hard to say. I can't really remember that.
Okay.
But
this is your intriguing game.
Kuechly is the quarterback of the defense, calls the plays, calls out the switches, does play in coverage some. He's not a big blitz guy. Consequently, 49ers don't throw the ball a lot. They have a lot of success with their run game. So I think Kuechly's first job is going to be figuring out how to get them in the schemes where they can slow down Coleman and Breida and the boys. If they can put the 49ers in passing situations, that will kind of give them the advantage. Now, the Panthers' offense is interesting. What's the kid's name? Kyle Adams. He's been playing pretty well. He's a bit of a game manager. He's nothing special, okay? But they got good receivers, good fast receivers, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Greg Olsen is having a resurgent season after they had their having an injury-plagued season last year. This will be a little bit of a challenge for the Niners D. This is one of the better offenses off the top of my head that they've played because they caught the Steelers early and that was a mess, right? Yeah, that game was a mess. But since then, I don't think they've really been really challenged in the back end of their defense. So we'll get to see what happens. I'm picking the Niners, though.
You're picking the Niners. Niners are favorite. 59 net point bias in their favor.
Panthers have the turnover differential.
But the turnover differential goes with the Panthers.
That's why you want to force them into throwing
we
the
had
ball.
We had that really bad day against the Steelers. So, there's a little question, but if it wasn't that I was a Niner fan, I might consider this an intriguing game also. I think you got two good teams.
Right.
And so, you should see some quality football being played.
Whatever defense can force their will on the other offense is going to win.
That's generally the way it works.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Thought I said something.
But, sometimes people forget. They forget that kind of fundamental stuff.
I guess I'm saying because it can go either way. Either one can do it to the other.
I lost my game, and I lost it on two. And it was funny because the plays that I was running in practice, they were working great.
Well,
and what I thought I was reading just wasn't turning out that way. So, I'm throwing it into some tight spaces, and it wasn't coming up for me in this game. So I'm still number one in my division, though.
Very good.
5-1, 5-2. Sterling net point power rankings. Raiders at Texans. Bias plus score 62 favors the Texans. Texans have a net point bias of 59, a turnover differential bias of 3, giving them the 62 bias plus score in favor of the Texans. Deshaun's got to get it together.
Scary game for the Texans. Josh Jacobs is running the ball well for the Raiders. The kid Darren Waller.
Tight end for the Raiders.
He hasn't been stopped yet. He's scored double digits in fantasy every single week, regardless who they played. He cannot be held down. The kid's amazing. It's just tough when your top receiver is your best receiver, is your tight end. We know another team that's like that. But anyway, I digress. They got to get it together on the defensive end. But Josh Jacobs needs to be handled. If by some strange twist of fate, the Raiders can control the ball on the ground, the Texans could have a problem on this. And again, I would rather, since it's midseason now, rather than stick my neck out, like a couple weeks ago, I would have said, I'm taking the Raiders. But now I'm just going to give you reasons why if the Raiders win, they could have won.
Moderating your behavior.
I'm moderating my behavior, but I'm going to pick the Texans. They're at home. Deshaun's still hot. Boom, bang, boom.
Well, speaking of boom, bang, boom,
It's about to be some banging and
booming. We have the Browns going into New England with the highest bias score against them, favoring the Patriots at 229. 229.
Highest of the week by far.
By far. Closest was 159. That's a 209 net point bias favoring the Packers, and a 20 turnover differential bias, largest turnover differential bias of the week. Now, again, it might be a little skew because of the Jets, but not, what can I tell you?
Not that much. Browns are too up and down, man. They're too up and down. I expect them to put up a fight in the beginning, but they're going to be overwhelmed by a far, far better team. Baker Mayfield is a little careless with the ball. You don't want to do that with a team that's got the 20-point turnover differential bias on you. Man, Patriots defense is good.
Getting close to Halloween, man. Baker might start seeing some ghosts.
He might. He probably will. I'm sure he will. And they had Odell on. He said he got some cleats made for Brady. He's going to give them to him as a gift. They're made out of goat hair.
Goat hair cleats.
Goat hair cleats. I think he said he got a pair for himself too. And he goes, I hope no animals were harmed during this process. Dude, you've been in so much trouble saying and doing stuff wrong. You scared about some
There's
goat
a
hair.
bald goat running around.
Yeah, right.
Filing a complaint. I had hair last week. What happened?
Wow.
This guy named OBJ came by, dude. Let me tell you. He had plenty of money, so we just had to just turn you in. Now, this is the game that everybody had penciled in. They were so excited about, but yet now
not so exciting.
Not so exciting when your starting quarterback, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, is not playing. The Chiefs are favored by 5 over the Packers. Smallest bias plus score of the weekend, but these are net points that were produced by Mahomes and company on offense. And who's coming
still
in?
Low.
Who's coming in to play for them? Backing up?
Matt Moore.
Matt
Old Head Moore.
Chiefs, 7 net point bias in their favor. Packers, 2 turnover differential bias in their favor, netting out to a bias plus score favoring the Chiefs of 5. And Matt Moore steps in to duel it out with AR, who's dropping dimes to guys we're just learning what their names are.
Packers defense by far is better than the Chiefs defense. Let me get that out.
By far?
By far.
Well, let me see now. Hold on. Let me hold the numbers. See if we can put some numbers to that. That would be a 12th ranking for the Packers in points against, and a 16 ranking by the Chiefs. That ain't by far.
What's turnovers?
Well, the Packers are 6 plus 6, and the Chiefs are plus 4.
What?
An actual turnover differential.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the right thing?
It's a 2.
What is? No. Wait. Hold on, folks.
Hold on, folks.
Something's not right.
Something's not right.
What?
It's happened before.
What? I'm sorry. I'm fumbling here. Are you looking at the net point power rankings?
Right. Just now, I gave you turnover differential.
Do me a favor.
That's what you asked me.
Do me a favor. Bring up the net point power rankings.
I have them right
You
here.
have them right there. Yeah. So in the net point power rankings, points against.
Packers are 12th. Chiefs are 16th.
Oh, that's that other sheet you gave me.
Well, it's the same thing. It should be
That's
the same
amazing.
thing.
No, it's not. Should be. It will be.
It will be.
It's just I
Okay.
wasn't looking at that.
Okay.
Okay. I apologize.
Uh-oh.
This game is far closer than I was predicting it to be. Not that I was going to say that the Packers should have an easy time of it, because, like you said, these points and these rankings are all by Mahomes, except for last week.
Points for.
So I kind of poo-pooed the Jets defense, the Chiefs defense. I apologize for that. I'm going to take that back. They have had a couple of good games lately. They were stinking it up early, but they had a couple of good games lately. They're trying to hold their own. I'm going to give them the respect that they are due. They are favored with the bias plus. I'm picking the Packers anyway because I believe, regardless of what the numbers say, that the Packers, to me, clearly have the better defense, especially getting a chance to go against somebody other than Mahomes. But if Mahomes was playing in this game, I would still take the Packers. You know why? Because the Packers have success lately, and the Chiefs had gone like this. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to some people.
I kind of understand what you're saying.
But
since they got their wide receiver back, the cheetah.
Yes, Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill
saved them, actually.
Tyreek Hill is what? How tall is he? 5'9"?
5'9", 5'10".
Something like that. Leaped up at the goal line between like 2 or 3 other defenders. Went higher than everybody. Caught the ball. Came down. And then he was only a few yards from the goal line, but nobody could do anything to stop him from getting in. So it was probably one of the more amazing feats. It almost reminded me when we used to watch the slam dunk contest with, what was the little guy that used to?
Nate Robinson.
You know?
No, you're talking about Spud Webb.
Spud. When Spud would do stuff and you'd be like,
we're old, y'all. We're old.
Yeah, we're really old. But, you know, Spud Webb was like so small, and yet he's in the slam dunk contest.
And was throwing them down.
So that's the kind of athlete that they have, you know, going for them there. And so we shall see. This is a coaching challenge now for Andy Reid. You know, he's going to be bringing in. The question is, did he do the right thing in giving his team a backup quarterback that could carry them for a few games? That's the backup situation, and we've been getting surprised.
If you can get the ball to Tyreek Hill and to Kelsey, he'll be fine. They need to give lots of carries to McCoy and throw the ball to McCoy, and they'll probably win. But I'm still taking the Packers.
Okay. Okay. He's still taking the Packers. I know my son's really happy. He's a Packer fan. So, who's up next? Oh, my Lord.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yes, it is. We're going to show you this because it's on the schedule. And you have to play the team that they put in front of you. Steelers, favored by a score of 158, a bias plus score favoring the Steelers. And the Steelers they're in there with their backup quarterback. The Dolphins.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph, he's back from his concussion. So that's a good thing because the other guy, he was the third stringer. He wasn't
getting it done, man.
Yeah, it was a little touch and go there.
That would be the Monday night game, I do believe. That's the last game we have on the schedule here. Dolphins 32nd ranked in net points. Steelers 19th. Dolphins 32nd ranked in points for. Steelers 23rd. Dolphins 31st ranked in points against. Steelers 8th. So there you go. That not the biggest bias plus score of the weekend, but a nice, strong, healthy 158 favoring the Steelers. What you got?
I got the Steelers. Big.
Going going with the Steelers. You only went against the bias how many times? Once? Twice? Twice?
I think I did 2.
I know you went with the Packers.
I went with the Buccaneers.
And you went with the Buccaneers and the Packers.
Yes.
Wow. Okie dokie.
So, needless to say, I didn't give out a fantasy tip last week because I didn't actually, I'm not gonna say discover it, but I didn't really jump on it until I realized how highly ranked the Steelers defense was in fantasy. They had a bye week last week. So people that play fantasy sometimes have a tendency to forget about teams and players that they don't already have on their team that are on the bye. I grabbed them while they were on the bye, played another defense last week, and now they are either the highest or second highest rated or projected defense in fantasy around the world. Some leagues, the Jaguars will be rated higher because they're playing the Jets, so it's a matchup thing. But the next best matchup is the Steelers against the Dolphins.
So if you could, in fantasy, get the Steelers defense.
I don't care if you don't play them no more this year.
Get those guys.
Get them now because the potential, the turnover potential is great. You know, you get points for sacks, you get points for fumble recoveries, you get points for interceptions. And you also get points for keeping the score down. A shutout is worth like, I don't know, 8 points. If you keep them under 10, it's worth something like that. So that's how defense works in fantasy.
All right. Well, this wraps up this portion of the show, the Bias Plus Report, also known as
the Matchup Show.
The Matchup Show. We're going to move into our social media review and any comments and rants. Let's start by just reviewing the fact that we've been showing you our social media all along. Let's start with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. If you go to www.sterlingnppr, this is where you should wind up, and this is where you'll find all of the information that we talked about in terms of the Bias Plus reports, the top 5, and all of those type of good things. In addition, on Facebook, we have Ben and Barry on football at BNBOF, and this is where you can come and find where we definitely want to share all the game highlights. So this is a great place to come to see game highlights, and then anything else that we find that might be interesting in terms of football. We will share a lot of that stuff with you here. I'm going back through it very quickly. This was a great link that we found on ESPN. It's the trade tracker. So if you're in fantasy, you want to know where the real trades are so you can figure out, you don't want to miss it,
right,
and not know what's going on. But just click that link and they're tracking the trades for you. In addition, the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings is also on Twitter, but this is the Ben and Barry on Football show at B&B on Football as it's shown on Twitter. And again, Ben, I really love the thing about Twitter is that you can communicate with people.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who had the show, remember the guy, we watched this show and we had never heard of him.
Turned out he had been a
game
coach
plan,
and all this stuff. Yeah, I remember him.
He shared something on Twitter,
mm-hmm.
and he was looking and he had checked off. He had the player on the. I thought it was a book, but it turned out it was a card, and I was like, what publication is that?
Mm-hmm.
And he got back to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the great thing about Twitter I like is that
that's cool.
No matter who it is out there, if you're a follower, if you at that person, and send them a message, many times they'll get back to you.
That's
you
cool.
know what I mean? And it's like one way. Like Facebook, you got to be their friend. You know, so they have to accept you as a friend. But if you just follow somebody on Twitter, they don't, unless they have one of those special accounts, you can't follow them, you know, for some reason other than that. And we are also on Instagram at Ben and Barry on Football, BNBOF. So did you see Sam Darnold's quarterback rating? After it
was like a 3 point something.
3.6. 3.6. And that'll pull your average down right there. I'm telling you.
It's awful.
And if you go to www.benandbarryonfootball, that is A-N-D, benandbarryonfootball.com, you will wind up here at YouTube, where all of our videos go, and then we share them out from here to the other platforms. So you'll be able to check us out. Please leave us some comments. Like us, click the notification bell and the subscribe button. And if there's any other buttons on there that you can
click on them too.
Click on those also, you know, because you never know. We come out with a main video once a week.
Right.
And then we are also then coming out with giving you segments. So you'll see the top 5 segments. The review, where we review last week's game segment.
Matchup show.
You'll see the matchup show, also known as.
Oh, you gonna die? No, I said the matchup show. That means I'm throwing it back to you. I didn't even try it. A bias plus report. He thought he got me in.
He got a brain for it. He played it well though. He was like, it's all your fault. It's your fault, guy.
No.
It's all your fault. Whatever. Oh yeah, the bias plus report. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so this last part, rants and commentaries. We'll let you go first.
You let me go first. All right. I'm not going to do that. I don't really have a rant. What I do have is I want to talk about how much I love the Patriots this year. I never talk about.
You love the Patriots this year?
I mean, the way they're playing, what I expect from them, the fact that once again, people were probably going, all right, let's figure out who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. And it's pretty much coming to fruition already at mid-season. I'm actually kind of rooting for them too, because my team stinks. I'm kind of rooting for them to go all the way. I believe that they will. I don't think anybody in the AFC can stop them. I really, really don't. Every week I get more and more impressed. The harder I look at that defense, the more impressed I get with it. The kid Gilmore is already being touted as the best corner out there. The McCourty twins are back there just picking off passes like it's crazy. Kyle Van Noy is playing his best ball. It's crazy. That defense is tremendous. And then I find out that Josh Gordon gets placed on IR. However, they just picked up Mohamed Sanu. So, again, Bill Belichick is always one step ahead. See, this is playing right into my thing.
I know.
He's always one step ahead. It was obvious that he had the feeling from the beginning of the season that they needed one more dynamic pass wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, Josh Gordon was healthy, or he was like slightly nicked from a preseason game or something. They knew they had Philip Dorsett, who was proving that this was going to be probably his best year since he was with the Colts back some years ago. But they knew they needed that one more guy because they don't have Gronk anymore. And they don't really have a dynamic tight end. So they tried to do the thing with AB. Of course, that didn't work out for its own reasons. You heard talk of them going after certain people here and there. And now they have Mohamed Sanu. I mean, this has been an ongoing thing for them. So I'm sure they're hoping that he fits the bill. Personally, I think that Emmanuel Sanders would have fit in better there. Another reason I think it comes to me, Emmanuel Sanders was still on the Broncos, I think, when the Patriots offensive coordinator had his little unsuccessful stint as a head coach, Josh McDaniels. Okay, so he's familiar with what Sanders is familiar with. I think that would have been a better fit for them, actually. But Sanders is a little on the smaller side, and I think they were looking for somebody with some size. Antonio Brown wasn't the biggest guy either, but he was so dynamic, he kind of broke the mold. But now they're looking for somebody with some size. So they got their guy. I'm happy for them. I really don't see anything that's going to stop them here. Now, yeah, I heard it's true. Brady sold his house. I heard it's true. His trainer sold his house. I heard it's true. Well, I haven't heard it's true that they went to him and asked him to sign his option for next year and he didn't do it. I don't know if that's true or not. He didn't do it. The question is, was he requested to and he decided not to or decided to wait? He had an interview yesterday about, I don't know what I'm going to do. I believe him, but he's nearing that time. So
nearing that time to make a contract decision as to whether he's staying or not?
Either retire or play somewhere else. No, say it ain't so. It could happen, folks. It could happen. I don't think it will happen, but I tell you this: if they win the Super Bowl again, I think he's back. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I think he opts out and goes somewhere else. But if he gets hurt,
he retires.
I hope that don't happen. If he gets hurt between now and then, he's out of here.
So I thought he said he was going to play for so many more years.
That was, when he was 38, he said he's going to play till he's 45.
How old is he now?
Now he's 42.
So
he real close. Who's going to squabble over a year or two? He could play till he's 45 if he wanted to. Maybe he will somewhere else. Could happen. Could happen.
All right, you heard it here first, folks, or you heard it here at least.
Oh, you heard it here. You didn't hear it here first, but I'm just giving my opinion.
I haven't heard it anyplace else, so I'll say first here. I'm going to throw that at you. Something else that we've been talking about is the new money that's going to come into the NFL, and whether the owners are gaining that when they're signing some of these guys to guaranteed contracts and they're like locking them in now, and then when the new money comes in, they'll be locked out because they'll be under a contract, and when that new money comes in. So Peter King was being interviewed on Pro Football Talk. And he said that Jalen Ramsey, right, by not signing that long-term contract, because he went in, all he did was give the Rams like a promise that he wasn't going to hold them up at gunpoint or something like that.
Right.
He wasn't going to leave. That at best this year, he could make about $15 million, okay, at best. But
that's pretty good for a DB.
That's really good. That's at the top. That's why I said at best.
Okay,
at best.
All right.
With the new agreement with the union, new contract, new salary cap, new money, that same DB could maybe earn $20 million in 2021. So Jalen's now playing that game that we were talking about. The owners were looking at with the new money, and do I want to sign these guys up now, lock them in, and keep that new money for ourselves? Right. Now the players are starting to get involved in that game, according to Peter King. So
I watched an interview with Jalen Ramsey. He's a really smart young guy.
We've been talking about this now for a while.
Yeah.
And so, we try to look at the whole spectrum. Football is life. We're looking at money. We're looking at contracts. We're looking at health. there was a certain thing that came on public radio talking about a study where they were looking at boxing and concussions versus football and concussions and stuff like that. So there's still some concussion discussion going on out there.
That's a good thing, though.
That's a good thing.
That.
Have you heard any, before we sign off, any XFL news come your way?
I think the schedule's out. I think I saw the championship game is going to be played in April. They're not going to have they're not going to have a big season. I don't know how many teams they have, but I think it's like a 10-game season at the most.
Okay.
That's all. Nothing really intriguing.
Okay. The only thing that we talked about last week, I'll bring it up again. We're talking about all that new money for the NFL.
Yeah.
While the XFL is looking at paying these guys about $50,000 a year.
Right.
When you add that to
any incentives for quarterbacks or certain players?
I didn't hear of any yet.
Because that's what the other league tried to do. They tried to set a standard amount of pay. Yeah, a standard amount of pay for everybody except quarterbacks and or.
I didn't think that the quarterbacks were exempt from anything. Players. I thought they were in the same.
I think they got a little bit more money.
All right. Well, we'll go back and double check. We're talking about the AAF there.
Yeah, it's
pretty close, but
it's debunked.
That's what the XFL is saying. We don't want to make the same mistake that the AAF made.
Exactly.
The only mistake that the AAF made is they didn't have enough money for a full year. They went into the year and their books weren't balanced for that.
I have no idea where they thought it was going to come from.
And so that's the mistake that they made. I don't know if the XFL is making that same mistake where they expecting X amount of revenues and they don't get it. So I mean, people love the NFL. Oh, I do want to mention one thing I did hear when we're talking about concussions.
Mm-hmm.
There was an article out that was talking about the settlement that the NFL had where they were going to pay all of these concussion victims that were part of the NFL. They came out in the NFL. So they had put a fund together so that they could have, these people would have some access to help with the financial hardships of those issues. Some of the people who were going to get X amount of dollars, this one guy, I'm not throwing names out, I read the article very quickly, was supposed to get like $166,000 as a part of the settlement. And he wound up owing some money. Yeah. The funny thing was, it was shared on Facebook, and this is how attitudes happen that are not really studied. I read the article, then I read the comments, right? And people were coming at the NFL like, "Oh, see, we should boycott the NFL." But if you read the article, the NFL paid out, but apparently these people had liens, and there were attorneys involved, and there were a lot of other people who are now siphoning off that money before the person who needed it. So it wasn't like the NFL didn't do what they said they were going to do.
Right.
But apparently there's some red tape involved, and there's some intermediaries who are siphoning off these people, money from these people, exorbitant attorney fees, for example. And I guess some of these people had some debts, which was another scenario. Like if they had medical debts, though that money went to the medical debt before it went to the person. So strange article. I'll take another look. If you see anything, take a look, send us some comments.
I'm gonna have to
let
look
us know
for
what
that,
you think about.
That sounds interesting.
But yeah, that's
because a lot of those guys, man, those medical debts would cause a lot of other debts. You know what I'm saying? Like you're so jacked up that you're constantly in and out of the hospital and seeing doctors and specialists and this and that. Meanwhile, the rest of your life is suffering. There's wives that have survived guys that have probably passed that need money too. I hope they're on the list, and it's not just for players that are still with us. But
I don't know. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
that some guys. Now I guess some people
up.
did get paid, in a positive way.
if they said he owes all this money all over the place, but his medical bills, we're gonna handle that. I don't know that that's sufficient. Obviously, it wouldn't be if he's still in debt. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
well, again,
tough.
I think
tough.
a
I feel
big
bad
part
for
of
these
it
guys.
was somehow you had attorneys involved. Now, you know, I'm not had nothing against attorneys. I believe in attorneys. You know, it's something that
but there was a point when the NFL was acting like this didn't exist, so everybody lawyered up.
But you know, that's the other part. A lot of times lawyers will deal with you on a contingency, and then when you get paid, they get paid first.
Exactly.
And if you didn't have an attorney check that contingency contract, you don't know what's going to happen. Right. So in any event, the NFL did pay. That was the thing. They did pay.
Yeah.
But, you know, that doesn't mean that the net result to that person.
Right.
I always say it's about the net. Yeah. Net points. All right. Ben and Barry on football. Any last words?
Just go Noles.
Peace.